Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mile High Sports today. I'm Shawn Drotar, Nate Lundy. Those we haven't got the memo. Flannel Day with the snow and everything else going on.
Danny, do you have any Nirvana
Colorado?
you can play? Like some Stone Temple Pilots?
Yeah, we can
anything
do that.
involving grunge, flannel.
Yep.
I know it's not. Danny goes, it's not radio.
Soundgarden, Temple.
I know it's not radio. We turned the radio station off. I get that already. Yeah.
That's
Obviously
just tough weather around here.
Snarky son of a bitch.
Looking forward to getting a whole show in today. Obviously, the power yesterday around things, and it wasn't snowing, so
it just went.
Fingers crossed for today. Let's see how that goes.
It was great. It was just like, and I checked. We paid the bill. That wasn't what it was.
No, it wasn't us. You looked around at like all the buildings, it happens, but on a colder day, we'll hope it keeps going there. But Nate, the Broncos and the Bills, of course, have their playoff game on this Sunday. And one of the stories involved in this, of course, is Von Miller.
Yes, I remember him.
Yeah, I think most Broncos fans do. The all-time leader for the Broncos in sacks, 110.5 by a pretty wide margin. Von Miller had a chance this year. He's obviously a situational pass rusher at this point in his career, but he does have 6 sacks this year, which was good for third on the Bills. And as a result, he can still be a pretty dangerous player. Yesterday, he had the opportunity during the Bills press conference to talk about what it was like to face the Broncos. And he had a really interesting answer that was really well thought out. It had a lot of emotion and feeling behind it. And we wanted to give an opportunity to hear the whole thing.
I had 2 days to really think about it, and it's all love. I can't even start to play that delusion of it's hatred or I can't even start to play that game. That I will put myself so far in a place that's not even close to being reality. That would be it would be hurtful to the way I want to play. I love those guys. I love everything about the Denver Broncos. I pay close attention to the Denver Broncos. I haven't even talked to Bo Nix or follow him on Instagram or nothing like that, and I feel like I know Bo Nix just by staying in touch with Broncos Country and staying in touch with the Broncos. I know they're building a new facility. They got new jerseys, all the new players from Mims and all the guys. Never met these guys, but I feel like I've met them because I pay so close attention to the Denver Broncos. Still close with Patrick Surtain, Cortland Sutton, Garrett Bowles. We probably talk once or twice every single month. Last month, we never even had the idea that we would be in a playoff game playing against each other. But me and Gary Bowles, we talk like it's when I'm on the phone with Gary Bowles, it doesn't feel like he's on the Denver Broncos, on the Buffalo Bills. It just feels like we're in a locker room on whatever team it is, and we just catching up with each other. It's all love and respect. And when I watch those Broncos games, yeah, some players that I don't know, but the infrastructure of the team and the people like from Patrick Smythe and Flip and all the guys that have been there, that's still the same. It still looks so familiar when I watch these games. So can't even start to play that. It's the Denver Broncos. I want to win. It's none but love. But those small 3 to 4 second bursts when I'm playing in the game, that 60 minutes when I'm out there, I want to win. I want to win the game. I want to beat the Denver Broncos. It's all love at the end of the day. But those small 3 to 4 second bursts, I gotta go through these guys to get where I want to go, and it's kind of weird, but that's just how crazy the NFL is and the universe is. So instead of trying to fight it, I just embrace it. It's a cool event, to be able to play against this new and improved, Denver Broncos. The last time that they made the playoffs was, last time we won a Super Bowl. So it's a full circle moment, and it's nothing but love and respect for the Denver Broncos and Broncos Country for sure.
9.5 years with the Broncos before he was sent to the LA Rams, where he immediately went off and won a Super Bowl, his second of his career. And then after the stint with the Rams, he's been with Buffalo for the last 3 and hasn't played more than 13 games, which is what he's played this season with them, as he's 35 years old at this point. But Miller, a future Hall of Famer, and obviously a guy that still feels very closely about the Denver Broncos and associates himself with the Denver Broncos, reminds me a little bit, it's somewhat different, in the Ray Bork situation when Bork was traded to the Avalanche from the Boston Bruins. At that point, the Bruins kind of knew they were in a down phase. Bork was kind of expensive, but he'd done so much for the team. They wanted to set him somewhere he could win. Bork went to the Avalanche. They won immediately. Miller went to the Rams. They won immediately. The difference is that Miller decided to keep the career going because he realized in Buffalo a Super Bowl window was open for him. But to hear those comments, I think it's heartening for Broncos fans to see how much Miller still loves the Broncos and maybe even thinks of himself as many ways as a Bronco. But as he pointed out, between the lines, 60 Minutes on Sunday, he's going to try to go get Bo Nix.
Yeah, I actually give Vaughn a lot of credit because it was obviously a very well thought out comment that he made. And look, he knew it was coming. I mean, he knew immediately that he was going to get asked that. He's probably going to get asked it multiple times. And so he obviously spent some time thinking about exactly how he wanted to answer that question. I don't think Broncos fans, and I don't think NFL fans or Bills fans for that matter, should be surprised at all by what he said. Like I said, it was very well thought out, but look, he won a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl MVP trophy with Denver. It's not like he left on a sour note. Denver did him right. They traded him to a contender and he turned around and won a Super Bowl. He has absolutely no reason to be upset or to have any kind of animosity towards the fan base, towards the orange and blue, towards the organization, towards the ownership, towards anybody. He's had a great career. And it all started with that number 2 pick that took place with the Broncos and with John Elway and company. So I loved what he had to say. I thought it was great. I think it's what Broncos fans would expect from Von Miller. And I think it's why he's so loved here still. Shawn, you and I go to the games, the number of 58 jerseys that are in the stands. I mean, heck, I saw somebody in a Vaughn Bills jersey last weekend in the game against the Chiefs. So, I mean, there's just a lot of love for Von Miller in this town. And I think he shows that it's very much reciprocated by him.
Yeah, 8-time Pro Bowler, all of those with the Denver Broncos. Since leaving the Broncos, we pointed out, of course, the career totals for him, 110.5 with the Broncos, 129.5 overall, 19 sacks in the 3.5 seasons, basically, since he moved on from the Broncos. But this may be, quite frankly, even though the sack numbers are a bit down, this may be the most effective season he's had with the Bills, who have a little more ability now to rush the passer without him. You're talking about guys like A.J. Epinesa, like Greg Rousseau, who don't have big sack numbers. But at the same time, the Bills do get pressure on the quarterback. They have a good defensive backfield. That means you're keeping the quarterback in the pocket. It's not like the Broncos kind of pass rush. They lead the league in sacks with 63. The Bills aren't sending the house after the quarterback, but they pick and choose their spots. And when they do, a guy like Rousseau has really come on and become a very good player. We know that Epinesa was a good player all the way back, to college when he was coming out of college there. And then Miller comes in from time to time and does his thing. Now the difference is when 58 is on the field, he has one job. He's coming after the quarterback. It does streamline it for the Broncos offensive line, Nate, because they know he's coming. At the same time, stopping him, even at the age of 35, isn't that easy.
No, it isn't that easy. Now let's remember he's number 40 for the Bills now. He switched up his numbers.
That's right.
So at least he got the 58 out of there. Makes it a lot easier when eventually you have to retire that number. Anyway, look, he played 25% of the snaps on defense for the Bills. That's obviously a very small number, but he's very efficient when he's there. And so as you pointed out, and as we know from the way the Bills will play defense and the way they've done it all season long, they are going to find ways to be able to put him into situational opportunities where he can try to wreak havoc on Bo Nix. That's his job. That's what he does. And at 35, he is still really, really good at it. He talked about my 3 or 4 second bursts. Folks, we watched it for years. We know what those 3 or 4 second bursts look like. And the crazy part is, even at 35, and even with the games he's missed for injury and things like that, he continues to have that really strong burst. He continues to be such a smart defensive player in terms of trying to get into the backfield and wreak havoc. So I love the fact that he loves Denver, but damn it, that offensive line better be ready.
Yeah, they absolutely have to be ready, because the one thing you can't do with the Broncos is you can't find yourself. We've talked about it before. Broncos in 3 and outs, 3rd worst in the league, or 30th, if you want to put it that way. A quarter of their drives this year, 3 and outs. As we've talked about before, pressures cause interceptions. That's what the Broncos try to get done, and that's what the Bills get done. It's not about sacks. It's about pressures. Bo Nix, when he gets pressured, and he will have to be smart with the ball, choosing when to run, when to get it out of bounds, whatever he needs to do to avoid getting that big loss, because the Broncos offense simply isn't built to do very well when it's 3rd and 8 or more. Their success rate, every team's success rate is down, but the Broncos in particular have a problem with that. So I think going forward, you want to do a couple things with that offensive line, Nate. I think that even though Sean Payton's not a big running guy, you do want to run a little bit. You do want to make sure that you're not putting Bo Nix exposed him back there with that many dropbacks. He was 6th in the league in dropbacks this year. That's a lot, and that's a lot of opportunity for Miller and company to go after him. I think the Broncos have to approach this in a little more traditional phase. Now, can it be handoffs up the middle or handoffs off tackle? It can. The Broncos like throwing those short passes. That can work too, because if you spread those guys out a little bit, it's a longer path to the quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. You're trying to essentially create wings, and spread those wings out and force the defense to pay attention to what's going on the outside. I think that is going to be really important. I think that's part of why, what we've seen in terms of the offense's ability to get Marvin Mims going. I think that's something that factors into this game. But let's keep in mind, whether it's a running play, whether it's a short pass out to the outside, any of those kinds of things, remember that comes as a gift if you're not down by double digits. And that is also extremely important. And I know we've talked a lot about what this defense needs to be able to do for the Broncos against Josh Allen and company, and we will continue to do that leading up until Sunday. But what this offense can do and how they can get creative, whether it's Von Miller or Russo or otherwise, is entirely dependent upon making sure that scoreboard is not getting out of hand. Because the moment that happens, as we all know, it changes the script, and it changes what you can do. And you can't, you can't go 3 and out under any circumstances. They need to minimize the 3 and outs. And I know that will be something that they will be heavily focused on as they get into the 2025 season and when they get into the offseason and the draft. But no matter what, you cannot do it if you're down by a touchdown. You cannot do it if you're down by 10, if you're down by 13. Now those 3 and outs become even more painful because you're sending an offense out there that already is sitting on what could be considered a comfortable lead for sure at home. And you're giving them an opportunity to build on that, even if all it is 3 points. Now, all of a sudden, that 10-point lead is 13. Now the 13 is 16. Even if the defense can do their job and keep them out of the end zone, they got to keep them out of the uprights as well.
We'll talk about the matchup with Sean Payton and Sean McDermott with Sean Keeler of the Denver Post in just a little bit. But we know that Payton's not a heavy running guy. Doesn't mean he can't get done. But you're especially right on the 3 and outs. And you've talked about this multiple times during the year. You're okay with 6 and outs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not every drive is going to come away with points, but you don't want those 3 and outs, because if you're moving the ball at least 15, 25 yards down the field before you punt, you're no longer losing the field position battle. And you're right. The other problem with the negative game script, if you get behind a team that throws a lot, as we pointed out, Bo Nix 6th in the league in dropbacks, then they know you're going to throw.
Yes.
And that makes it a lot easier to come after the quarterback. And for Von Miller, over the last 2 games, I mean, get this, you talk about efficiency. 2 of his 6 sacks have come in the final 2 games of the year. They're ramping up a little bit. But against the Jets, he got his sack taking only 14 snaps.
Yeah.
And against the Patriots, he got his snap playing only 3.
Yeah, but it's
3
fun.
snaps, 1 sack.
But it's fun when the sack comes against the Jets. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just as a whole side note, that's fun. That's fun. Look, he is efficient. We all know what he's capable of doing in the postseason. And look, you want to talk about playoff Jamal? I think there is such a thing as postseason Vaughn. Okay. I just think there is. I think this guy, even at 35 years old, I don't even care if he was 38 years old right now and was still playing. He has another gear in the postseason. I truly believe that he still does. And just like we've talked about postseason Jamal, even though I have no idea where that guy went, it's true with Vaughn. And as the season has gone along, remember we talked about this earlier in the season with Derrick Henry. The Derrick Henry actually gets harder to tackle the more the game goes.
Yeah, because you're tired.
He doesn't get tired. He's ready to bowl you over by the time it gets to be the late 3rd and 4th quarter. That is how Derrick Henry is so damn dangerous as a running back, is because he gets better as the game goes on, and you as a defender get more and more tired. But you're exactly right, Sean. When it comes to 3 and outs, look, just no 3 and out. I don't get 5 and out, 6 and out. Fine. I can handle that. And you want to know part of the reason I can handle that, and I brought this up on the shows over the course of the last couple of months, it's because if you've done that, you have better field position for your defense because you've at least moved some down the field. You don't have your punter trapped 3 yards in his own end zone. You're getting out and you're getting mobile and you're getting out at least closer to midfield so that hopefully your special teams can do their job and pin Josh Allen down. That's why I say that I'm okay with a 5 and out or a 6 and out, because now you're playing the field position game. And that to me is vital for this Broncos defense.
Yeah, Von Miller in his career, when you're talking about the 13 playoff games, 10.5 sacks with the Broncos. He had 6.5 and 7, and of course the Super Bowl. With the Rams, he had 4 sacks in 4 games and a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Teams with Von Miller in the playoffs go 9-4 and 2 rings. The guy gets the job done in the playoffs.
Yeah, and you got to pay attention to that real quick, as you were talking about trying to get to the outside, trying to spread that offense out, trying to get away from some of the pressure of the interior that this Bills defense can do. Please keep in mind that the Bills are one of the lowest in the league in terms of yards allowed on the ground, basically 63 yards, 3.4 per carry. Over the course of this season, only 2 teams managed to average more than 4 yards per carry against them, and one of those was because it was Saquon. Okay, you just don't get yards against this team. This is going to be a game that tests Sean Payton and his creativity and what he can do to get his backs involved, understanding that he's not likely going to be able to do it up the middle.
Yeah, keep an eye, obviously, on Javonte Williams, who has taken over kind of a Samaje Perine role, third down back, best guy in blitz pickup the Broncos have in running backs, which is really, really important, because you do not want Bo Nix on third down to get smoked. And speaking of that, exactly.
Speaking of smoked, let's talk about it this way.
We call that a segue.
Yeah, let's do it. Let me talk about our friends at Rolling Smoke Barbecue. Always appreciate them being a part of the program, and they have re-upped as one of our big sponsors here on MHS Today for 2025. We appreciate Terry, Kook, Brett, and the entire crew at Rolling Smoke Barbecue. If you haven't tried it yet, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for, folks. We are talking about hardwood, slow smoked meats, sides made fresh every single day. And in fact, when you walk into one of their locations, you're going to see a chalkboard up above the register. And that's because they take everything from scratch so seriously that sometimes, man, if you get in there a little bit later in the evening, they may be out of something. Don't take offense at it. That is why it tastes so good, is because they're not just sitting there hiding it in the back and bringing it back out the next day. When they're out, they're out. They make sure that they stay on top of it when it comes to the pulled pork, when it's the burnt ends, the brisket, the ribs. All of it is so good, and the sides are fantastic. By the way, if you like collards, holy cow, some of the best I've ever had. I want you to go check out one of their locations. You can go to the Stanley Marketplace. That is where they first started out with their brick and mortar. Then they've got one at the corner of Dry Creek and University and Centennial. They are in the Golden Mill in Golden as well, and the newest location is open up in Wheat Ridge. And remember, takeout, catering, they can cover it all for you. RollingSmokeBBQ.com, RollingSmokeBBQ.com. And when you stop by, tell the crew that Nate and Sean from Mile High Sports sent you.
Absolutely. I didn't think about a day like today with the snow blowing all around. That smells.
Well, it's just like I
can smell it in my.
I throw out the idea of the takeout and stuff like that, because you know how you just get those days where you're just like, man, I do not want to cook, man. I don't want to cook. The beauty is you stop by, pick up stuff from this, give them a call ahead of time. Just say, hey, I'll be there in about 20 minutes. They'll get it all ready for you.
Yeah. So give them a try. Of course, delicious. The place over at Rolling Smoke, and lots of options to get there.